Let me tell you something about men that most women never catch on to. A man who's truly interested in you isn't just showing up with flowers, compliments, and promises. He's testing you, not in a manipulative way, but in a way to see if you're really the kind of woman he wants to invest in. And if you don't recognize these tests for what they are, you'll either fail them or get frustrated and walk away. Today, I'm going to break down exactly how men test women they want, and how you can pass those tests without even trying too hard. When a man is genuinely interested in a woman, one of the first things he's going to do, whether he admits it or not, is test her patience and consistency. And I don't mean he sits down and creates some strategic plan, writing down steps like, okay, today I'm going to ignore her text for 2 hours. That's not how it works. It's more natural than that. Men instinctively want to see how you handle situations when things aren't always comfortable or convenient. Because any man can look good on the surface when things are going smooth. The real test, though, is how you respond when he changes pace, when he doesn't meet your expectations in the way or the timing you thought he would. Sometimes that looks like him pulling back a little, taking longer to reply, or canceling a plan last minute because work ran late. And here's the truth. He's watching your reaction. Not because he wants to frustrate you, but because it shows him something very important about you. If you lose your cool the second things don't go exactly as planned, it tells him you might not be ready for a relationship where life constantly throws curveballs. If you can stay steady, respond with grace, and not let one change in the schedule ruin your whole day, that signals emotional maturity. And for a man who's serious about you, that's attractive. Now, let's be clear, this doesn't mean you have to tolerate disrespect or accept a man who constantly cancels, errs, ignores, or disrespects your time. That's not patience, that's self-neglect. What I'm talking about is balance, the ability to know the difference between a genuine schedule conflict and a pattern of disregard. And men can tell the difference in how you handle it. If you show him that you're flexible without being a pushover, he'll respect that. Because deep down, men are looking for women who can flow with the realities of life without turning every inconvenience into a war. And here's another layer to this: consistency. Men test women to see if the person they met on day 1 is the same person on day 30 or day 90. It's easy to be kind, patient, and lighthearted in the beginning when everything is exciting and new. But what happens when the glow starts to wear off? Do you still show up with that same energy? Do you still treat him with respect when you're not in the mood? Do you still carry yourself with self-respect even when you're frustrated? That's what he's watching, because consistency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of commitment. So when he's slow to reply, or when plans don't unfold the way you expected, it's less about the inconvenience and more about the window it gives him into your character. He's not looking for perfection, he's looking for stability. He wants to know that when life gets stressful, when the honeymoon phase cools down, when the unexpected happens, you won't crack under pressure or start throwing his effort back in his face. And you know what happens when you show that, when you pass that test? He relaxes. He starts to lean in more, he starts to trust you more, because he feels safe knowing that you won't fall apart the moment he can't show up perfectly. It's not about pretending to be calm or putting on an act. It's about genuinely cultivating patience, knowing who you are, and not letting small bumps in the road dictate how you treat someone. A man who wants you is not testing to punish you. He's testing to see if you're someone he can build with. And when you show him patience and consistency, you're showing him that you're not just someone who looks good in the highlight reel, but someone who can handle the unfiltered, everyday reality of life with him. And that's when he knows you're worth holding on to. Another way men test women they truly want is by pressing against their standards and boundaries. And again, this isn't usually some calculated game they're playing. It's human nature. Men want to know if the lines you've drawn for yourself are real or if they're just words you say in the beginning because they sound good. It's easy to talk about having high standards, but it's only when someone pushes against them that the truth comes out. A man will test this in small, subtle ways. He may make a joke that crosses the line a little too far just to see how you handle it. He may suggest something you've already said you're not comfortable with, not to force you, but to see if you really mean it. He may even ask you to compromise in areas that go against your values, just to check if you're someone who stands firm in what you believe or if you bend easily under pressure. And what he's really looking for isn't whether you agree with him, but whether you respect yourself enough to hold your ground. Because here's the truth: men respect what they cannot move easily. When you hold your boundaries with calm confidence, you're sending a very clear message. I know who I am, I know what I'm about, and I'm not afraid of you walking away if you can't respect that. That kind of energy makes a man lean in, not pull away. Why? Because it shows strength. It shows self-worth. And men who are serious about building something long-term aren't searching for someone they can control, they're searching for someone they can trust. But here's the tricky part: some women confuse boundaries with walls. They think saying no to everything or never being flexible is the same as having standards. It's not. Boundaries aren't about being stubborn, they're about being clear on what's non-negotiable. They're not about pushing people away, they're about protecting your peace. And men notice the difference. If you're overly rigid about everything, it doesn't come across as strength, it comes across as fear. But if you can stand firm on the things that matter while staying open and kind in the things that don't, that balance speaks volumes. So when a man pushes against your standards, don't panic and don't get defensive. Instead, take it as an opportunity to show him that your words and your actions line up. If you said you won't tolerate disrespect, then don't laugh off a disrespectful comment just because you're afraid of losing him. If you said you value honesty, don't ignore the little lies just because you like him too much to call it out. Every time you bend on something important, you're teaching him that your boundaries are negotiable. And every time you stand firm without anger, you're teaching him that you're a woman who can't be bought or swayed by temporary charm. And let's be real, this isn't just for him, this is for you. Because the boundaries you hold are not just about keeping a man in check, they're about protecting your own dignity. They remind you that no matter how much you like someone, you never like them more than you respect yourself. And that's exactly the kind of woman a man wants to invest in. Someone who knows her worth, communicates it clearly, and isn't afraid to walk away from anyone who tries to make her compromise it. So when he pushes, when he tests, when he tries to see if you'll fold, don't take it as an insult. Take it as a moment to prove, not to him, but to yourself, that your standards are not just talk, they're the foundation you live by. And when you do that, you don't just pass his test, you elevate yourself above it. And that's when he knows he's dealing with someone different. One of the biggest ways a man will test a woman he's truly interested in is by watching her emotional stability. And this isn't about him expecting you to be some kind of robot who never feels anything. Emotions are normal, reactions are human. What he's really paying attention to is whether you let your emotions control you or whether you know how to control them. Because life, relationships, and love are full of moments that won't go your way, and how you handle those moments says everything about who you are. A man might intentionally pull back a little, not to hurt you, but to see how you respond when he's not giving you constant reassurance. He might disagree with you just to see if you can have a conversation without turning it into a fight. He might even point out something you don't like about yourself to test whether you immediately get defensive or whether you can take it with grace. What he's looking for is whether you're grounded or whether you let every little shift throw you into chaos. Think about it. If every time he doesn't text back right away, you spiral into overthinking, sending paragraph after paragraph, accusing him of losing interest, that shows him your emotions are driving the car. But if you can stay calm, live your life, and trust that one late reply doesn't mean the relationship is over, that shows maturity. If you explode when he cancels a dinner because work ran late, it tells him you need constant control to feel secure. But if you can acknowledge the disappointment without tearing him down, that tells him you're capable of handling life's unpredictability without losing yourself. And let's be honest, men are very aware of how fragile peace can be in a relationship. They know that choosing the wrong partner can turn their life into constant arguments, tension, and drama. So when they're testing your emotional stability, what they're really asking is, can I feel safe with her? Can I trust that she won't tear me apart over small things? Can she be my peace when the world is already heavy on my shoulders? But emotional stability isn't about pretending you're fine all the time. It's not about bottling things up and never expressing how you feel. It's about balance. It's about being able to say, I'm upset, without screaming. It's about being able to show disappointment without disrespect. It's about feeling hurt without throwing daggers at the person who hurt you. That's strength. That's composure. That's what makes a man look at you and say, I can trust her with my heart because she won't destroy me when she's angry. And here's the deeper truth. Your emotional stability is not just a test for him, it's a gift for you. Because when you learn to stay grounded, you stop giving away your power to every little thing outside of you. You stop letting his behavior dictate your mood, and you start owning the way you respond. That makes you magnetic. That makes you different. Because in a world full of people who are easily triggered, easily offended, and quick to react, being the woman who stays calm under pressure is unforgettable. So when a man is watching how you handle conflict, disappointment, or silence, he's not looking for perfection, he's looking for peace. He's asking himself, can I build with her? Can I trust her not just with the good days, but with the bad ones too? And when you show him that you can feel deeply without losing yourself, when you prove that you can ride the waves without sinking the ship, that's when he realizes you're not just another option. You're the one who stands out, and that's when he knows he's found something rare. Another way men test women they want is by checking their independence. And let me be clear, this doesn't mean they want you to be distant or act like you don't need anyone. Men who are serious about you don't want a partner who pretends she doesn't care. What they're looking for is balance. They want to see if you can stand on your own 2 feet, or if your entire sense of happiness, confidence, and identity starts and ends with them. See, a man knows that the wrong kind of relationship can quickly turn suffocating if the woman depends on him for every ounce of her validation. If he feels like he can't breathe without constant calls, constant check-ins, or constant reassurance, he'll start pulling back. Not because he doesn't care, but because he feels the weight of carrying both his life and yours. That's why men test independence. They want to know, do you have your own goals, your own passions, your own circle, your own sense of worth? Or are you just waiting for him to fill the empty spaces in your life? Sometimes this test comes in the form of him not always being available, just to see what you do with that time. Do you sit around waiting by the phone, or do you go out, live your life, and keep yourself fulfilled? Other times, he may watch how you react when he pursues his own independence. Maybe he goes out with his friends, spends time on his work, or invests in his hobbies. And what he's paying attention to is whether you try to control that or whether you respect it. Because a man who's serious doesn't want to feel like loving you means losing himself. And here's the part that matters. Independence doesn't mean acting like you don't care about him. It doesn't mean pretending you're fine when you miss him. Independence is about having a life so full and so meaningful that you don't collapse when he's not right there beside you. It's about knowing you bring something to the table other than your presence. It's about living with enough confidence and fulfillment that when he looks at you, he sees a partner, not a project. Men notice this quickly. If you're the kind of woman who can't be happy unless he's constantly entertaining you, he'll start questioning whether you're in love with him or just in love with the attention. But if you can stand tall in your own life, if you can support him without needing to control him, if you can enjoy being with him without needing him to complete you, that's when he starts to trust that this connection has real depth. And let's be honest, independence is attractive. When a woman can take care of herself, make decisions, chase her own goals, and still choose to love a man, it means something different. It means she's not there because she has to be. She's there because she wants to be. And every man wants to feel chosen, not needed out of desperation. That kind of choice carries weight. That kind of independence makes him lean in closer because he knows he's not your only source of happiness. He's just a part of it. So when he tests your independence, when he creates space to see what you do with it, don't panic. Use it. Live your life. Show him that your world doesn't fall apart when he's not at the center of it. Show him that you're not just capable of standing on your own, but that you're even stronger when you choose to stand beside him. And that's when he knows you're the kind of woman he can build a life with, not just someone to pass the time. At some point, if a man is genuinely interested in you, he's going to test how you handle his vulnerability. And this is a big one because most men don't open up easily. Society teaches men to stay strong, to keep their guard up, to carry their weight without complaining. So when a man chooses to drop that armor, even in the smallest ways, it's not by accident. It's a test to see if you're someone he can trust with the parts of himself he doesn't show the world. It usually doesn't come as some dramatic confession. It might be something subtle. Him telling you about a mistake he made at work, or admitting he feels stressed, or sharing a story from his past that he doesn't normally talk about. He might even show his vulnerability through silence by letting you see him when he's tired, frustrated, or unsure. And in those moments, he's watching closely, not to judge you, but to see what you do with the information. Do you laugh at it? Do you dismiss it? Do you use it against him later? Or do you hold it with care like it's something valuable? Because for men, revealing weakness is risky. The wrong response can shut them down for years. But the right response can create a bond so deep it changes the entire relationship. If he tells you something he's insecure about, and you comfort him instead of criticize, if he admits a failure, and you encourage instead of shame, if he lets you in on something personal and you guard it, instead of gossiping about it, that's when he starts to feel safe. And safety for a man is the gateway to love. What's important to understand is that vulnerability doesn't mean he's asking you to fix him. He's not testing you to see if you'll solve all his problems. He's testing to see if you'll stand beside him while he solves them himself. Men don't want to be rescued, but they do want to be supported. They want to know that when they take off the armor, you won't punish them for being human. And here's the thing, how you respond to his vulnerability tells him what the future will look like. If you make him feel small when he shares, he'll learn to keep everything inside. If you make him feel weak for being honest, he'll never show you his true self again. But if you honor it, if you meet it with patience, kindness, and respect, you'll unlock a side of him no one else gets to see. You'll be the person he turns to when the world gets heavy, not the person he hides from. This test isn't about whether you can handle him at his best. Anyone can love the strong, confident version of a man. The real question is, can you handle him at his most uncertain, his most flawed, his most human? Because if you can, he'll trust you with everything else. And once a man trusts you with his vulnerability, that's when the relationship shifts from surface, level connection to something lasting and unbreakable. So when he lets you see behind the curtain, don't underestimate it. Don't brush it off. Don't use it as ammunition. Recognize that in that moment, he's handing you something more valuable than flowers or gifts. He's handing you trust. And the way you respond will determine whether he ever dares to hand it to you again. And that's when he knows if you're the kind of woman he can let his guard down with, or if he needs to keep the armor on. One of the final ways men test women they truly want is by looking at loyalty before the labels are there. And this one can feel confusing because it's not about him trying to trick you or trap you. It's about him watching how you carry yourself when things are still uncertain, when the relationship hasn't been fully defined. Men want to know if you're someone who's committed in spirit, or if your commitment only shows up when there's a title attached to it. This test often shows up in the between stage, that space where you're not just casually talking, but you're not officially in a relationship either. He'll notice how you act in that space. Are you entertaining other men while telling him you're interested? Do you flirt for attention because there's no official claim? Do you treat the connection as temporary until he locks it down? Or do you carry yourself with the same loyalty and respect you would if things were already official? Now let's be real. This doesn't mean you owe loyalty to someone who hasn't committed to you. You're not his property, and he's not yours. But what it does mean is that men are looking at patterns. They want to see how you naturally handle loyalty. Because if you're quick to bounce the second things get uncertain, or if you treat exclusivity like it only matters when it benefits you, he's going to question whether you'll really stay when life gets tough. Men who are serious don't just want to know if you can be loyal when it's easy. They want to know if you have a loyal spirit, if you can honor a connection even before it's official. And it's not about being perfect. It's about showing consistency, showing that you're not swayed by the next shiny distraction, that your focus is where your heart says it is, that you value integrity even when no one is watching. Sometimes this test comes through distance. Maybe he gets busy, maybe he travels, maybe he simply isn't as present for a while. And during that time, he notices if you hold steady or if you start looking for validation somewhere else. Other times it comes through opportunity. Maybe you have the chance to get attention from other men, and he's paying attention to how you handle it. Not because he wants to control you, but because it reveals something about your character that a label can't fix or fake. And here's the deeper part. Loyalty isn't just about people, it's about principles. If you can be loyal to your own values, your own word, your own sense of integrity, then a man knows you'll be loyal to him too. Because how you treat yourself is how you'll treat the relationship. If you compromise your values for convenience, he knows you'll do the same to him when it gets hard. But if you hold steady, if you show that you don't need a label to practice respect, he'll see that you're someone who lives with alignment. What makes this test so powerful is that it tells him more about you than anything you could ever say. Words are easy, promises are easy, but actions in the gray areas, the spaces where nothing is guaranteed, that's where truth shows up. And when he sees that you're loyal without needing the spotlight, without needing the title, without needing to perform, he knows you're not just in it for the image of a relationship. You're in it for the real thing. And that's when he knows you're the kind of woman who doesn't just say she's loyal, she proves it before anyone even asks.